All right, guys. We'll be talking about the form element and the form tag. Okay. So basically, forms are used to collect data in your web page. All right. For instance, this is an input form for my for my username still on KiwiWeb, and this is another form for password. So if I should click on it, I can enter a username. If I click on it, I can enter a password. All right. So yeah, we have a checkbox here as well for checking. All right. So these are forms basically used to collect data from a user in a web page. All right. And we start with the form tag. So this is a tag we use to start a form. And the first element on that form we're talking about is the input. So basically, the input is used to collect data, which is this as well. And yeah, this is the output used to collect, like it says, input. This is used to collect data. It can be name, email, or anything. All right. The default is type of text. All right. So this is an attribute, and text means it can handle any data. All right. So that is what text means. It can handle any data. All right. We'll be talking about another tag called label. So label is like a helper to your input. For instance, I can call this username. If I should refresh, you see it on top. So labels are used, they are helpers to our HTML form. It gives a sense of direction to your users. For instance, okay, these are images I got from different forms online. You can see username is a label, and under it we have an input form. You can see the password under label. We have this, which is another input form for the password, and you can see the checkbox, a label for keep me signed in. Okay. Same thing with this as well. You can see the username and you can see the form to fill. You can see the password as a label also. These are labels that give your user a sense of direction on what to do. You can't just put the HTML form like that without them knowing what values should be entered inside. Same thing with here. So these are different forms, and we can style a lot of them with CSS when we've gotten to CSS. All right. Um, okay, so we've done username, and I can decide to add another form for password. But in this case, I want to put it in a block, in a div rather, so that it can come to the next line and my code can be arranged. All right. So I know div, the codes that are inside the div tag, and you will see the essence of another use case of div now. And I can call this password. And there's another type called password in HTML input. All right. So if I should refresh, you can see the form, username, and password. And if I should enter, you can see it. It's not plain, unlike the normal text. Passwords are not plain, so wherever you are filling it, you can be safe that nobody is looking at your password. All right. So the essence of this div was to make sure that both my form and my label come to the next line. All right. So if I should delete these divs and just leave the form and label, you can see they are all in the same line. But no, I wanted it to be like other forms I've been saying and coming to the next line. All right. So that is what I mean when I say a div is a block level element, because it aligns elements on top of each other, so they go down the line. All right. So we've done text, we've done password. There's another type called email. So I'll change the form the label to email. All right. So you might see the effect when you're on your mobile phone. Sometimes you're registering for your website, and when you click on the email section, your keyboard usually changes in the way that you can easily navigate through with your email. For instance, you might not have art in your normal keyboard, but once you've already clicked on the form that has an email, art appears in your keyboard. Same thing with the other tag will be dealing on, which is tel. Same thing with telephone, so it stands for telephone. So you can call your label can be phone number, or okay, let me give it phone number or anything relating to phone. So your users should know that you want their phone number. And again, if you're on mobile, that is most of the time that's when you would see this effect, because your keyboard also will change to a telephone keyboard. Yeah. So another tag we'll be talking about is the file tag. All right. Remember, forms are used to input data, to get users data. All right. So we can call this one file, or let me call it profile picture. So with this, we can allow our users upload files. If you click on, you see it gives me an option where my files can be. All right. And if I should click on this, you see the name is there already. All right. So that is it for file. So you can upload any file you want, images, PDF, MS Word and all. All right. The next type we'll talk about is checkbox. Keep me logged in. So if I should refresh, we have a checkbox here similar to something that was in the login section for these websites, which is this. Keep inside it. All right. All right. So uh, this is a checkbox. All right. So I would create a div for the radio button. Let's say baby. Okay. Let's give it a age for select your age. 10 to 15. So this is our first label. We have the input type of radio. I'll copy it, so we have theory data to choose from. Age 15, okay, age 16 to 20, age 21 to 25. All right. So yeah, this is it. So ideally, radio buttons, you're supposed to select one from them. All right. So in order to make that work, we use the name attribute. All right. So it groups them together. The name, let's give it age. They should have the same name, because you want to select one option from each of them. All right. So I should click on here. I click on here. You see, I can select only one, but I cannot select one from a checkbox. So that's the difference between checkbox and radio. All right. So add the name to checkbox as well. Logged in. Okay. Give it a name of logged in. Copy it and paste it to on our second checkbox. All right. So if I should refresh my page, and you can see I can select it more than once, even when they have the same name. All right. But for a radio button, you can select it just once. You can't select more than one items. All right. So the last input tag we'll be talking about is the button. All right. Still on input. we have type of button. So yeah, there are different tags. You can try them out. We have button, checkbox, we have color. Okay, we'll try everything out. Let me click on button, and if I should refresh, you see a button is there, but there is no name. So we give it a value of submit, right? So value is another, it's another attribute in HTML to give it something to display. Okay, so if I should click on, if I should refresh, you can see we have the submit button here as well, right? So we can also use um, values in our normal input tags, right? So there's an attribute called value for input tag and placeholders. We'll see the difference now. So username is Buddhist code. Let's use Buddhist code for my username. You can see by default it's there. There's already a default value. If I should refresh, you can see it's always there. So if you use value in your input tags, it gives it a default value there. If I should give a value of Buddhist code at gmail.com and I refresh, you can see it there. All right, so that's the difference. That, okay, that is for value. Why for placeholder? What placeholder does is that if there is no value, it gives a default value. For instance, I can say placeholder should be enter username. It gives something there if there is nothing. If I should refresh, Buddhist code is still there as my value. And if I should cancel Buddhist code, you can see enter username is there. So placeholder is just to display something if the input is empty. All right, that is the difference between a placeholder. Enter phone number. I should refresh, you can see enter phone number. Immediately I type something, it disappears. All right, so value gives a default, it gives a default value. I mentioned the name twice in your form, while placeholder displays something when your form is empty. So that is the difference between a placeholder and a value. And we have the button, which is a submit button, which is this button. So once we go on CSS, we'll be able to style everything on to suit our taste. All right, you can see a submit button here, you can see that submit button here, you can see that submit button here. This is just a basic HTML submit button as well. All right, so that will be all about form, and see you in the next video.